Vampire Crawlers is a game with surprisingly few vampires in it. I guess they're hanging out in another castle. Instead, it's full of dungeons for you to crawl, hence the name. The game does a great job of being accessible, because the gameplay starts off very simple and only gets crazy later after you've unlocked a bunch of stuff. Because here's the thing, Vampire Crawlers takes all of those evil manipulative tactics that casinos use to steal your money, and gacha games use to steal your money, and uses them to make the game more fun. And so at first you're just casually counting cards to make your combo go up, but then later you're going to be doing ultra maximum overkill damage. Personally, I love the demo. It was my highlight from the recent Steam Next Fest, and I was going to pick up the game on release, but Ponko beat me to it by sending me a key. And so this is the good, the bad, and the ugly on Vampire Crawlers, but also I appreciate the key because it's an awesome game and I've had a blast. And so let's start with the good, the things that I like and think the game does well. Starting with the combo system, because if you can count to 4, you are well on your way to dealing damage in Vampire Crawlers. The way it works, as you play cards with ascending mana costs, they gain an increasing multiplier. So you play a 0 cost card, it buffs all your 1 cost cards. You play the 1 cost card, it buffs all your 2 costs, so on and so forth, until eventually your combo runs out, or you find a wild card to keep the craziness going. Now early on, both in terms of early in a run, or until you have a bunch of stuff unlocked, this is really straightforward. You'll probably go 0, 1, 2, maybe 3, and that's it, then your combo resets. This means some of your decision making involves things like, okay, I have 2 1-cost cards. Do I want to play one of the 1-cost cards by itself, say a buff that gives me some stats, or do I want to use it as part of a combo which amplifies the buff? The answer is it depends. If you need the buff right now, probably amplify it. But if you're playing the long game, maybe just play it by itself and go for the combo to deal some damage. Because that's one of the things I love about the combo system. It doesn't just boost damage. If you combo a tome, you get extra mana. If you combo the attract orb, you get more cards. And things get insane, because by late game, you're playing your entire hand. You're now hitting enemies for thousands, hundreds of thousands, or I suspect in rare cases, even millions. Oh, and there's so many pixels on your screen that you probably can't tell what's going on because there's a projectile scaling effect. So naturally, you just max that out. A good example of this is the footage you've been watching for this portion of a video, where I am using combos to freeze lock death. Because of course, like with Vampire Survivors, you can kill death. Except it's a really tough fight. The guy basically just one-shots you if he touches you. So what do? You combo him in hilarious, broken, and unfair ways so that he doesn't get a turn. And as a note on combos, one other thing that I love, if your combo counter gets too high, it just doesn't fit on your screen anymore. I'm 100% sure this is not a mistake. Instead of going, yeah, we'll just have it resized. No. Your combo's too big. It doesn't fit on the screen anymore. That's awesome. Next up, gems. Originally, I thought this was going to be a gimmick, especially because a lot of the gems that were used in the demo were fairly simple. Just a couple of stats here and there. Gems are also how you evolve your cards. It works very similar to Vampire Survivors. We have a weapon, in this case, let's just say the Fire Wand, and you combine it with any form of spinach, that's right, either version of a card works, and you get Hellfire, the evolved version of Fire Wand. This also means you cannot put gems in items you plan to evolve, at least not mostly. And that's where the trade-off really comes into play, because some of the gems that you get in the late game are insane. Remember that footage where I was killing death? Well, part of the reason my damage was so crazy is because I had a gem that dealt damage whenever I played the card based on my gold. So if I killed a bunch of enemies, got a bunch of greed, aka a whole bunch of extra gold, what can I do? Deal massive damage. There's also a gem that reverses the combo count. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, you can now go 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, because that's how counting works. There's gems to increase mana cost, reduce mana cost, draw cards when you play the card, provide armor, all sorts of fun stuff. Though one limitation of this, normally combo scales your cards, it doesn't scale gem effects, which, given how broken some of these are, yeah, okay, that's actually fair. And if you're thinking, well, couldn't I just go infinite? Technically, yes. But if you go infinite and you play your cards too many times, they will break and summon death, and death will then kill you. So technically, the game doesn't stop you from going infinite. It just sends you a strongly worded, very lethal letter. Also, if any of this looks cool to you and you think you're going to play Vampire Crawlers, get subscribed, because I'm going to be coming out with some guides to help people get into the game. I'll start with an ultimate beginner's guide and we'll see how things go from there. Now next up, I want to talk about the meta progression, because this is another place in which the game does really well. So first you have the shop. This is where you buy power-ups. Most of these are simple stat boosts, so something like Area, where your attacks can splash and deal damage to everything around them. Or Greed, you get more coins, in other words, you get more meta progression. Some of these are more useful than others though, like the armor upgrade. Having that armor is insanely valuable in the early game. Late game, when things start hitting you for 30, 40, maybe not quite as valuable, but you'll probably have enough gold to max it anyway. This is also where you get things like skips, rerolls, etc., provided you've unlocked them. But where things get really interesting are the crawler slots. See, crawlers are something a little different. If you ever played Commander in Magic the Gathering, they're kind of commanders. And so this is effectively saying you can now have 3 commanders in your commander deck. Each crawler has their unique starting deck, basically it's an item. Antonio starts with his whip, Imelda starts with her wand, Pasqualina starts exactly the same as you would expect. Now, when you play a crawler, they have an effect. So Antonio, you get armor. Imelda, you get EXP. Pasqualina, you get area. But here's the thing. They remain active for a duration. And so the secondary effect continues to persist and triggers based on the type of cards you play. Red cards are weapons. Yellow cards are utility effects. Blue cards are armor, and purple cards are mana effects. So Demario, for example, really unique playstyle. You gain duration when he's played, meaning he stays up for longer. Then whenever you play a purple aka mana card, you deal damage, so you can just kill enemies by mana cycling your deck. At first this starts fairly simple because you pick your crawler and go, but things get really cool later on when you have the 3 crawler slots. So recently I was experimenting with a deck where I used Crotchy Frito, he gives revival, really strong against endgame stuff, Po Rachto, good old garlic, keep enemies away from you, and card draw when you play armor stuff. And last up, Iguano Gallo Valeto, where you get a ton of gold, because I was trying to farm gold. My whole thing was keep enemies away from me and maybe don't kill them so fast so that I could farm gold. It kind of sort of worked, also I killed a lot of enemies. There's Arcana, these unlock as you play, and they give you very powerful bonuses. Like Mana Siphon, I would not be surprised if Mana Siphon gets nerfed. It's really easy to play 100 cards. It's really easy to play way more than 100 cards, because you can go infinite. Also, Chain Link. Your combos don't clear between turns, so you can do like combo up to 20, then just end your turn, skip the next turn, and continue your combo from there. Crazy stuff. But where Vampire Crawlers really sets itself apart is adding sockets at the blacksmith, and this is awesome. I haven't done it as much as I should have, because I was buying all my power-ups so I could farm gold better, but I'm now going to dive into it. I do kind of feel like this system is not necessary. That is to say, you don't need to do it to unlock basically most stuff. There's only a couple of achievements that I'm missing. But it is really fun to break the game using it. See, as you pay gold, you add sockets to stuff. Let's pick an item and use it as an example. What can I afford? Oh, I know. I'll upgrade the Empty Tome. There we go. It now has a socket. So I can socket a gem into it. Remember, gems are super OP. Some of the more common ones, it might just do something like deal spicy damage. Who doesn't want spicy damage? Increase duration, growth, etc. But the really rare ones are insane. Like Midas. I guess that's not even one of the really rare ones. It's just very rare. Whenever you play cards, you just get gold now. Also, kill count deals damage based on your kills. Armor strike deals damage based on your armor. Easy combo. It just always combos. Plus, you get to literally decimate your enemies. What can you do here? Well, you can make them rarer or more common, so you kind of get to customize your experience. And so once you're done with all that, it's time to go back to crawling. One last thing that I like about the game, I've kind of hinted at it a couple times now, but there's a lot of really cool little touches. Like how when you evolve a card, it becomes a nice shiny foil. Devs didn't have to do that, but it's awesome if they did. Now, what about the bad? The things that I dislike. Honestly, I don't have any major complaints about Vampire Crawlers. It's a really fucking good game. And it's simple enough that you can tell after like an hour what it's going to do. I do have a couple of complaints. The first of which is, it can be a bit hard to play late game. Maybe this is a me problem. Maybe it's my fault that I drew my entire deck at once and filled my deck with so many cards. But seriously, it gets hard to see what's going on. I wish there was an easy way that I could organize my cards beyond just using the, oh, that has the combo symbol glowing, so that's probably what I want to play next. But also somewhat related to the late game complaints, a fair number of times now, I've gotten a lot of the amount stat. The animations have become fairly long, as my cards just obliterate everything on screen, and I think my turn's over, and I accidentally break my combo because I was clicking around and my turn wasn't over. Yes, I know, this is very much a me problem, but I kind of wish there was an accelerate animation when you have an ungodly number of projectiles button. There are a lot of little quality of life things to like turn stuff off and on, so I could totally see this happening in the future. My second minor complaint: the game doesn't let you quit. Seriously, most games you press escape, it takes you to the menu. Here, you press escape and it takes you to the world map. So instead you have to go into the village and navigate around the village, or hit escape during a run and that will allow you to quit out from the menu. Hello, it's me, Editing 10, here with a jump scare update for you to this section of the video. I'm adding this section because shortly after release, I saw more and more discussion of the game's difficulty. Now, my own experience with that, I ended up beating the game very quickly. In total, I lost under 10 runs, and until I got to the first bridge, I had a 100% win rate. And so what I've been seeing is a lot of people saying the game's more on the shallow side, and also it's a bit too easy. Now, I do agree the game is overall on the shallow side and on the easy side. It's not that there is no depth. You can absolutely do things like manipulate gem drop rates using the jeweler, add a bunch of sockets, and make even more disgustingly OP builds and do like millions of damage and all that. You can also play and beat and 100% the entire game without doing any of that. The baseline difficulty is quite low. In the future, maybe with expansions, it might be raised. I did not go into Vampire Survivors or Vampire Crawlers expecting a difficult and challenging game. I expected it to be entertaining, and I think it absolutely is. I expected it to be relatively simple, easy to pick up. Again, I think it is. With that said, while this video is on the things that I like and dislike about the game, I wanted to talk about the difficulty just to add a little bit of context of where I'm coming from, and hopefully set some healthy expectations so that you don't go into the game and ultimately get disappointed. And so with that, Editor 10 out, back to your regularly scheduled vampire crawling. Alright, last up, the ugly. Stuff that I don't think is really very important, but just kind of bugs me. The first of which is, some stats don't explain themselves very well, like luck. It says it's an increased chance for random things to happen. I'm assuming that means crit and proximate say RNG, and also a chance to get 4 rewards instead of 3. Also there's area. It's splash damage. It seems to also hit the primary target, and it seems to not be a 1-to-1 correlation with the area stat. Not 100% sure how that works. Just kind of bugs me, but I don't know. Now, in terms of keywords, things like disarm, freeze, those are great. There's a keyword on the card tells you exactly what it does. Some stats, like duration, makes perfect sense. It's really intuitive to me. But for the fuzzy ones, I wish the game had an explanation somewhere. But hey, as you can tell, I really don't have very many complaints about Vampire Crawlers. It's been a blast so far. The recent Steam Next was full of great demos. I played like 20 of them and liked almost all of them. Despite that, Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors, started out as a cut above the rest. And you know what? The game does not disappoint. It's been a blast. Pretty sure I'm going to 100% it soon. I'm at like 150 something out of 161 achievements. Also, I've killed death. Took a while, but hey, I guess that's the price you pay for killing death, and your reward is, of course, character, and you get to fight death again. And then you repeat that till you inevitably die, because, you know, they say death and taxes and all that. So yeah, I've had a ton of fun with the game. I'm going to be making some guides. If that's up your alley, get subscribed. Also, if you want to see my thoughts on more games, first up, head over to my Steam Curator page, drop me a follow. I talk about games there. Second of all, take a look. Slave Aspire 2, Timberborn, Grime 2. All games I've played recently, you can see my thoughts up in the card and down below. But for now, I'm going to go back to Vampire Crawlers because, as I said, I'm really close to 100%ing the game, and I want those last few unlocks. Maybe there's going to be something super cool that'll break the game even more than the things that I already have break the game. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Catch you in the next one.